Hello and welcome, I'm Laxmi Gopal. A former Manchester City footballer has been elected in a vote in Georgia's parliament, despite denunciations from the incumbent president and the pro-EU opposition that the process is illegitimate. Mikheil Kavelashvili is a former MP from the increasingly authoritarian ruling Georgian Dream party, and he was the only candidate for the job. It comes after 17 days of pro-EU protests across the country's towns and cities. Our South Caucasus and Central Asia correspondent Reyhan Dimitri is outside Parliament in the Georgian capital, Tbilisi.
A short while ago, the head of the Central Election Commission, he announced the results of the voting that took place this morning, and it was the Electoral College that voted for Georgia's next president. It's the first time that the head of state was chosen via the Electoral College. All previous presidents that were nominees of the current ruling party, which has been in power for the past 12 years, the past two presidents, they over time turned against the party and more so against the founder of the ruling party and the country's most powerful and richest man, Ivanishvili. So Mikheil Kavelashvili is seen as a loyal candidate, and now Georgia's next president. Here outside Parliament, the protesters, they've been standing in the streets, facing cold weather since this morning, and now as a kind of fun, they're kicking football around. Well, I have one of the protesters here with me. Her name is Nino. Hello, Nino. So I wanted to ask you, now that you have the new president, Mikheil Kavelashvili, what do you think? What do you think of his candidacy? What do you think of that?
So we've been protesting, say, like already more than 15 days, not only from this morning. He's without education, so it means that he has no high education, he has no diploma. It means that he doesn't speak, he doesn't have any skills, so he's just a puppet of Ivanishvili, and he knows only one side. He's a footballer. He knows only one side. It's a red card. So Mikheil Kavelashvili, it's for you.
And, we know that Salome Zurabishvili, the incumbent president, she refused to step down, and she said that people will be on her side. What do you expect to happen next?
I don't know what she thinks, but people are definitely on her side. So it's a very little part of the people. And if you come here in the evening and if you see all this process, you can manage. You can see that all the people, more than this number of the people, are standing here, and they are for our former president, Mikheil Kavelashvili, Salome Zurabishvili.
A short while ago, I was talking to one of the government MPs, and he described the protest as artificially created crisis, and he said that it was somehow directed from abroad. What would you say to that?
So we are not the people who came here under the pressure of someone. We are here, we are standing here on our own. For example, I came from the eastern part of Georgia. It's about 2 hours drive from this area. So I come almost every day here to express my opinion and express my protests. So we are standing on our own here.
Thank you. That was Nino. She's one of the protesters. And right now it's kind of late afternoon, but it is expected that larger crowds will gather here, as they have done over the past 2 weeks, once again to protest not only the new president who was voted in by the Electoral College, but also to protest against their government, because this latest crisis was sparked by the government's decision to put Georgia's EU accession talks on hold. And here at the protest, we can see a lot of people with the EU flags draped around their shoulders. So they believe that this government is turning its back on Europe, and by appointing this president, it will deepen the political crisis in this country because people who are protesting, they do not recognize Mikheil Kavelashvili as their next president.
And Rayhan, given that this development moves Georgia further away from hopes of EU accession, what is the likely reaction from other Western leaders?
Well, right here, Lakshmi, at the protest, I see a lot of people holding signs saying EU and US introduce sanctions. And that has been one of the calls from the protesters, as well as from the country's opposition, who are currently boycotting the parliament. A couple of Baltic states, they have already imposed sanctions on top government officials, including the billionaire founder of the ruling Georgian Dream party. But I think what's happening now is that the presidential office has been considered by the opposition and the protesters and the incumbent that as the last remaining independent institution. And they believe with the appointment of this president, Mikheil Kavelashvili, who's loyal to the government, that will kind of end Georgia's democracy once and for all.